Hello, my name is Yarrow Willard and I am the Herbal Jedi, and today we're going to talk about old man's beard and what is the best immune medicine when you start to get the sniffles. Achoo! Whew! You know you're in mushroom country when you start to see the fungi permeating out of the world. Lichens are in our fungal kingdom. They are a mix of algae and a fungi. There's a bit of bacterial aspect to them too. And Usnea is one of those classic ones that has a lot of medicinal values. So this can be used in chronic and acute immune reactions and responses. So whether we've got an acute immune infection, aka sniffly, sneezy, coughy, down, this is gonna help work as that antibacterial medicine. Now, how this works is kind of like, I like to consider it as that Shaolin ninja of the immune system, which means it goes in deep. Some of these immune herbs like echinacea and golden seal and osha are more like, echinacea being more like a chief, and osha and golden seal being more like kind of Rambo with their big gun. They go in and they take out all the bacteria. Whereas this one, it doesn't really do that. It tones the system, making it more functional itself, as well as Usnea has been shown to help go in and shut off bacteria's ability to produce ATP, aka its energy system, its cash flow. So in this way, it sort of ninjas its way in there and stops bacteria from being able to reproduce. It can be used in that acute state like that, but also to tone the immune system overall. Now this has also been used not just internally as a tea or a tincture, which is how we might use it, but also externally. So it could be used for wound care. So we might take this Usnea that we have here, dry it out, grind it into a fine powder, and we can pack that into wounds as an antibacterial kind of medicine underneath a gauze. Now if we have a major infection, say something like staph infection, this would be a perfect one on a big staph wound. We're gonna have powdered Usnea. All bacteria isn't bad, and so if we're gonna work with antibacterials like Usnea, we wanna work with them specifically during those immune response times. So it's not something we're gonna take all the time. And it's not a medicine we can afford Mother Nature to give us all the time either. Because any of those antibacterials, they're essentially slightly anti-life, right? In this sense, what I mean by that is that bacteria is also our best friend. So taking too many antibacterial medicines is gonna shut down the good bacteria in our gut. Now a little bit of Usnea during an immune season, perfect. It's not gonna affect the good bacteria in our gut very much. It might compromise it a little bit, but overall it's affecting the overgrowth and pathogens in our immune response, helping support the immune system so it can deal with and move that out easier. Another way in which Usnea might be useful is as an antifungal. So we can make baths with this. We can put it into our bathtub and use it as an antifungal if we've got skin fungus. Sometimes people get those little white spots on their skin, which is a type of skin fungus, or foot bath we can use this for athlete's foot. There's also been some studies on using it for antiviral compounds that it has too. So Usnea is one of these multifaceted medicines. The main thing I use it for is wound care and for immune system tonic. So we put it into our immune tea, but we also add it into our cold defense tincture. And I might just take it on its own, and there's many different ways like that we can start to work with Usnea. If we're gonna use this, we're gonna wanna make sure that we break the surface area. So we gotta have to mash it up real good because the surface is very protective in Usnea. So we're gonna mash it down, or we're gonna grind it in a mortar and pestle. We're gonna chop it up fine and give it a nice squish and mash. So we might make a light simmer with it. We also might tincture this herb. This is one of the old world medicines from the forests here. And one thing that Stephen Buhner, one of my favorite authors, once said about Usnea was that he had a download when he was in the forest hanging out with Usnea, and it's like, what is your job here? And Usnea said to him, my job is to help the trees breathe better, to help the earth breathe better. So in some ways, Usnea is that kind of medicine for cleaning the forest, for cleaning the world, for helping the relationship between the plants and the environment. So wow, even as I chew on it, you can really taste that there's a bit of medicine in there. Nice and gentle, but also strong and powerful. How do we know we have the right one? Because there's all kinds of old man's beards that look like Usnea. It's gonna have this elasticity. It's got a cord, a central cord in the middle. As I pull it apart, It's elastic. That's how I know I have the right one. If it doesn't have that snap, then I got the wrong.
Oh, no, that's not elastic.
No, not elastic. Here's an example of a knot Usnea.
An Usnea knot.
An Usnea knot. When you break it, it just pops apart. Pop, 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 pop. I like to harvest this after we've had a big storm because it's up in the trees and these take a long time to grow. So it's not very ethical for us to get up there and start pulling it down. But when we see trees like this that are low-lying along the ground, we all of a sudden have a great opportunity to pick this herb. That's the only way I'll harvest Usnea. This little growth here might take a couple of years to get that big. So here's a perfect example of a branch that's blown off that we can harvest Usnea off of. Now if we pick it, we're gonna pull away that bit of bark. That's not such a big deal if we're gonna make it into medicine because we can work with that. But for best practices, we might try to clean it as much as we can in the forest. And we might also come along and use a knife and just clip it in that sense. So here's an example, pulled it off, might clip that bit off. Or if I want to keep a larger piece without pulling off the bark or damaging it, I might do it like so, cleaning off any other kind of debris. Something so magical about lichens. I feel like they are one of the least worked with medicines and they have the most potential. Now these are something that communicates so deeply with every other organism in the forest. They are a symbiotic organism themselves, and just even the way they kind of hold that sort of fairy kingdom door, you know, it's, I don't know, something I just love is the magic that I think lichens have. Like I was saying, when we get home, we'll clean these better. This is called garbling, and it's sort of the herbal nerdy word for cleaning my harvest that's covered in crap. We're looking for vibrant lichen. So you see this one is a little older and it's fallen on the ground earlier. That might not be quite as vibrant. And if we don't need it, if we have abundance of other ones, we'll take these much more vibrant ones. Basically the idea is when we're working with Usnea like this, we need to break it down. Its cell walls are tough. So we need to find various ways to break it down. Now the first one I give an example of is to make it into a herbal powder that could be used underneath band-aids or to clean open wounds. That antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral kind of compounds that are in there in the usneic acid. Now if we're gonna use this internally, we need to, again, break down the cell walls to make it more bioavailable because it is that tough lichen type tissues. And I think this might be part of the reason why people haven't used lichens so much, is they're tough and fibrous and hard to really extract the medicine from. So to do that, we're gonna do one of two methods. One is we're gonna make a tincture, the other one is we're gonna make a decoction. Now a decoction is literally that slow simmering for 20 to 40 minutes or longer. We call this the double boil and trouble method of herbalism. And it's also one of the herbalist's special secret weapons, making decoctions. So Usnea can be a perfect one to add into a crockpot decoction or in with other mushrooms or other immune beneficial herbs. You can start to cut it up nice and fine and put it in the decoction. Now if we're making a tincture, we're gonna make what's called a dual extractive tincture, where we're gonna make one batch that's a decoction like that, but a really concentrated version of it, and one batch that's an alcohol tincture. But we need a high alcohol to get that usneic acid out. So 70% minimum is gonna be our minimum for our alcohol content. And then we're gonna take the two and put them together to make a dual extracted tincture. This is then easy to be taken by the dropper full and can be used for any of those immune responses we might wanna work with. Thanks for joining me in this video on lichen. I hope you're liking it. This is one of those powerful medicines and I'm so happy to share it. It's something that I've been connecting with for a long time, so I hope you got something out of this video too. Comment below, give us a thumbs up, or check out some of our other herbal videos. We've got lots more to share, over 120 videos on our YouTube page, and lots of them on harmonicarts.ca. Hope to see you out there on the Nether Space Tribe, and we'll be connecting with you soon about more herbal medicine.